Hey everybody, welcome back to Fallout Equestria. Let's go.
And even if I didn't, what had I done?
I don't know.
I'd left her laying unconscious next to the burning bodies of her murdered parents.
Woo!
So much less evil, Lil
Fun
Pip.
times!
I was evil.
It's alright.
But she wasn't a filly, I thought desperately, clinging to any illusion I could keep. She had her cutie mark already. Stablethink, the mare in my mind chided. You were older when you got yours. But she had her Arbu mark. She'd killed and eaten. How do you know her first kill wasn't a damned radigator? My Little Pony spat.
Name
She was
drop.
a guard. The rifle under the table proved that. The Arbu ponies had guests in town. Guests they weren't going to kill. So they had guards, protecting their darkest secret, ready to kill and defend. She was one of them. She knew what the town was doing, and that it was wrong, and she was still protecting it. The little pony in my head shut up at that.
Yeah!
For what absolutely little it was worth, I had scored a point. Go up into my room, a voice said beside me. Grandpa Rattle had walked up to me at some point, and I hadn't even noticed. I felt like I was missing time. There's a safe under my bed. Fetch the book inside. I know you can pick a lock. I turned to him. It was like he was forever away. I had the sudden sense that I was drowning in all this air around me.
That book is going to have proof that these guys were fucking dirtbags, isn't it?
What's in the book?
What's in
It's
the
my
box?
ledger. Every pony they killed. Every pony they ate. Velvet Remedy had heard him. Why? She asked softly. Why would you keep a record of something like that?
You gotta tally the names and shit. He's keeping tally of the sins, and it's probably gonna have proof that these guys murder guests and shit. Like, you go sleep here, you ain't ever leaving.
'Cause I knew this day was comin', Grandpa Rattle replied. And my mind ain't what it used to be, particularly in the daytime. Velvet Remedy closed her eyes. A tear reflected the light of her shield spell as it trickled down her cheek. I didn't figure to be folks like you, though, Grandpa Rattle added. Actually, he said, pointing at Steelhooves, I figured it'd be him. I found myself in Grandpa Rattle's loft,
Oh boy.
staring at his bed, at the scuff marks on the floor, at the iron shackles that had been used to bind the old man to his bed. I remembered running through the fire and custard cakes, and the galloping up the stairs. I lost my balance twice on the steps, feeling dizzy. I blamed the headache and the smoke. The loft was filled with smoke, forcing me to press against the hot floor. The heat was oppressive. But the fire wasn't spreading up the stairs. The ceiling of the bakery below wasn't catching the flames. I coughed, trying to open the lock on the safe. But it was impossible. My mind just couldn't grasp the image of the tumblers.
The what?
Every time I tried, my thoughts just got jumbled and fell apart. My headache was like a railroad spike being hammered into my skull. I floated my screwdriver and bobby pin out. I would have to do this the old-fashioned way. But still it was too hard. The lock was ridiculously difficult,
I hope so.
or I was just too messed up to function. After breaking 4 bobby pins, I gave up. I just laid there on the hot floor, coughing and hacking, trying to still my head. The coolness of the water talismans was washing over me, buffeting against the heat, keeping the room bearable. Why didn't you go to your friends first? The pony in my head would not let me rest. I don't know, I told her.
Man, Little Pip's conscience is such a shit. Like, you need to fuck off. God. Like, does one of the coolest, rightful things she can, and you just start shitting on her. Well, I'm not gonna have it.
Why didn't you talk with Grandpa Rattle? You could have gotten his ledger. You could have known for sure. But I did know. I had seen enough. I had killed for these monsters. The Steel Rangers.
How long before Lil Pip starts talking aloud to this little voice in her head? Okay, Lil Pip's insane. Like, that's what it is. She's gone fucking nuts. And that's the voice in her head. And, like, how long until she just starts talking to it? Like, legitimately out loud talking. It's not going to be good.
Those poor ponies up at Buckland Cross. They didn't have to die. They didn't deserve to die. Not for Arbu. Especially not for Arbu. More memories came back. I could remember gunning down the milk-colored one-eyed pony now. "We helped you!" she screamed at me as she dropped her shotgun, having run out of bullets. My mind flashed back to the Ponyville Bridge. Had I not said the exact same thing to Monterey Jack?
You weren't a freak-ass cannibal. Like, God.
You've never been forced to give up your principles for the greater good. To sacrifice yourself and become a monster because it was the right thing to do. Red Eyes was no longer my dark and twisted reflection. He was my reflection. I was a monster. I hadn't even been forced. I did it because I was mad. If anything, he was better than me.
How? Like, oh, this fucking bullshit moralization. I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's so... I just think it's so dumb. Like, you did the good thing. Why are you feeling bad about this?
No. No, I wouldn't let it be like this. I wouldn't let myself become this. I had made a mistake.
No.
A horrible, evil mistake.
No.
But this wasn't me.
Like, since this is clearly based on that one town in Fallout 3, you get good karma for killing those shits, I think is what I remember. You know what? Oh, fucking dumb moralizations.
Better than this, and I still could be. I had to find a way to make this right.
To
fix this.
Oh, I'm getting
You
pissy.
can't fix dead.
That's debatable.
No, I couldn't fix dead. But I could spend my entire life doing everything I could to make up for it. I was corrupted kindness.
Okay, this reminds me of that MLP comic with Sombra. It's like, we have to get Queen Platinum, but you killed her. So, like, Sombra's the fucking best in that. He's great. And yeah, that's a official MLP comic where Sombra returns, and he eventually has a redemption thing going on. And he's like, I gotta get this chick I killed and I gotta bring her back. And he's like, his accomplice is like, but dude, you killed her. And he's like, I don't care. I can fix that. Oh man, I love guys like that. Lil Pip, get Sombra's attitude. The world will be a better place.
But I could be more than that, couldn't I? Was it possible for a messed up pony to have a true virtue as well? Yes, a voice in my head insisted. My memories flashed out to the last visit of New Appaloosa, to Silverbell seeing Firelight, her eyes going wide with wonder as if suddenly a whole world had opened up to her.
Yeah.
A world of beauty.
Yeah.
That voice out of nowhere. It was under E. Took on a filly's tone. I never felt joy like that before. It felt so good I just wanted to keep smiling forever. And suddenly, part of me knew. Knew for sure. Call me crazy, but after we go, I half expect that filly to spend the next few days trying to make New Appaloosa as pretty as that bird.
Yeah.
In that moment, Silverbell had found her virtue. A real one, pure and true. And if the pony who had epitomized corrupted laughter could also be something greater, then so could I. My headache had faded. I glanced towards the window. The sky was getting lighter. Dawn was almost here. I'd been in this room for hours. How? How had I lost so much time? I pulled out another bobby pin. This time, I got the lock open. It wasn't nearly as hard as it had been the first time I tried it. Well, howdy, children. This is your favorite voice of the airwaves, DJ Pony, bringing you the news.
Woo, boy, here we go.
First up, a warning to travelers. The fires in Everfree Forest are creating a major travel hazard from the Splendid Valley to New Appaloosa. And I'm not talking just about the air quality here. Although, considering some of the things burning up in that place, that might be a righteous concern.
Yeah.
No, I've got reports from some truly fearsome monsters that have been driven from the forest. Caravans are cautioned to steer clear of the whole region until further notice. And now, for something a little different. Mail Pony dropped old DJ Pony a letter today, written from our dear friend Ditsy Doo out in New Appaloosa. Love that gal. Well, she was listening to the 2 reports I made regarding Stable Dweller and the news out of Arbu, and she wasted no time in weighing in. Here's what she has to say about the Stable Dweller. I've seen her get raging mad, and what the raiders in Ponyville did to me, and to a filly, and to so many others. She went crazy. She pulled out her gun and she started saving ponies. I was one of those ponies. Maybe you too. The bullets she fired are still saving ponies today, because those raiders aren't around anymore. I bet she saved a whole lot of ponies in Arbu. P.S. Yummy, yummy muffins. Homage is awesome. Zenith is awesome. Lil Pip is awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, that was a little Philly,
Took
wasn't
you
it?
long enough. Grandpa Rattle grumped as I returned with his ledger. Fall asleep in there?
I was
set it
talking
down
with
before
myself.
I don't know. Well, hurried up. I ain't got all day, he snapped, floating the ledger up. Dawn's almost here.
Oh, he's a
Won't
unicorn?
be lucid much longer. Velvet Remedy was curled up with the children, singing a soft lullaby. She'd gotten most of them to sleep. At the elderly buck's words, she stopped singing, turning to him. What do you mean? Grandpa Rattle looked at her without a trace of shame, as if he was far too old and too weathered to be embarrassed about what he was saying anymore.
Like my grandpa.
I told you my mind ain't what it used to be. I've been kissed by Luna since I was old enough to have a cutie mark, but that don't help come dawn. Kissed by Luna? I asked, my actions apparently not having killed my curiosity.
Yeah.
Grandpa Rattle regarded me. That's right. Means I'm clear-headed and more perceptive at night. Blessing from the goddess. Recent years means the nighttime staves off the dementia. The old buck floated the ledger in front of Calamity.
How
Well, you
fat
gonna
is
read
it?
it or not? The rust-colored Pegasus looked at the book floating in front of him, then shook his head, pushing it away. The book broke out of Rattle's levitation bubble, thumping to the ground. I don't need to, Calamity said, walking past Grandpa Rattle and up to me, staring at me. You done did wrong, Lil Pip.
Fuck off!
Says the pony who shot her because he thought she was a raider, Velvet Remedy whispered. Don't matter what the book says,
Yeah,
he continued. You lost control.
it really fucking does! And lost control. Oh my god. Fuck off!
I know, I said softly. Calamity lunged at me. I stiffened, too startled to react. He grabbed me, crushing me. I tried to fight back, but he was bigger, stronger. He was hugging me.
Okay. Woo!
I've seen your heart, Lil Pip.
Woo! I was about to say, get your fucking gun.
Calamity reminded me, clutching me tight. I know you're a good pony. Maybe the best pony I've ever met. I felt his tears. And if that heart cries out in pain and rage and fury, then I gotta believe it's for a good reason, and that I'm just too jaded to see it. The early morning breeze washed through the Sky Bandit. 6 children, 1 young buck and Grandpa Rattle, all accompanied us, scattered about the benches of the passenger wagon. This was the second time in 200 years that it had been full, even though there were still plenty of empty benches.
Aww.
Velvet Remedy
The
had
machine spirit cries out in joy.
been nothing less than amazing in getting the foals to follow along with us. We were taking them to Friendship City, someplace they could be safe. Surely a place called Friendship would take them in.
Oh god.
And if they needed persuading, I had a water talisman to offer. Now, Velvet Remedy's attention was on me. Her horn was glowing as she looked into my eyes. If it would make you feel any better to claim temporary brain damage, I could probably give you a doctor's note, Velvet chided. Your concussion was less than 16 hours ago, And what you've done since then is pretty much the opposite of rest. It's at least 3 days' flight back to Canterlot, I reasoned. I'll rest along the way. My headache was back, although not quite as bad as before. I hadn't been able to eat, but I really didn't want to. I wasn't sure I could ever eat again. I would never put meat in my mouth for as long as I lived. Velvet nuzzled me softly. But you shouldn't. Need to excuse yourself, I mean. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
She took my face in her hooves. And
I'm
made me look
agreeing
into her
with
eyes.
Worst Pony.
I know you, Little Pip. I can see that you've been bucking yourself to pieces about this ever since it happened. Possibly even while it was happening. You're not a monster. You're not a villain. You're a mare who loves ponies and cares about them, and who finally has seen too many hurt too badly to stand it any more. Goddesses, if we were only all like you. Velvet? Something in her voice worried me. She looked down, dipping her horn. If any pony's a monster here, Little Pip, it's me.
Oh?
What? No, that's...
Oh, really? Go
Yesterday,
on.
you killed a bunch of ponies who were murdering and eating other ponies, she said, softly, a tone of real sorrow in her voice. Yesterday, I put the life of my pet above the life of another pony. I shook my head quickly, and now it was my turn to make her look into my eyes.
Well, I mean...
You put the life of a beloved member of our group.
Well, I mean... Yes, that's... You're right.
A thinking and feeling creature, above the life of a pony who shot her.
Well, that's true,
Velvet
too.
Remedy gave me a wet, grateful look, but said nothing still. What are these marks? Steelhooves asked Grandpa Rattle. Calamity may have neglected the ledger, but the leader of Applejack's Rangers was giving a very close inspection. Say, what now? Grandpa Rattle asked. Hey, how'd you get my ledger? You gave it to me, Steelhooves said evenly, patiently. Oh. He looked around. We're leaving Arbu, ain't we? This was not the first time Rattle had seemed surprised at the change in his surroundings. Yes, Steelhooves said. Now, if you please, what are these marks? Grandpa Rattle appeared at the ledger. That there's how many times I warned folks off before the others killed him. 1 mark for each time I told him I have a shotgun. I see. For him to keep such records of his attempt to help. Zenith leaned close, whispering to me. I suspect he was not expecting rescue at all. He was preparing his defense. Grandpa Rattle turned his appraising gaze to Steelhooves. You're him, ain't ya?
Him?
Steelhooves looked up from the ledger. Excuse me?
Who?
You're Paladin Steelhooves, he exclaimed. I remember you. You're that ghoul my daughter kept lusting after. Velvet Remedy's ears perked. I stifled a laugh. Steelhooves nickered and tried to turn his attention back to the ledger. You must be mistaken. No, you're just none too perceptive, Grandpa Rattle insisted. Never knew she was even there. Always pining for Applejack. Steelhooves looked up abruptly. Do I know you? Scribe Rattle. Grandpa Rattle paused.
Oh, shit!
Former. Left after my daughter got pregnant. At Steelhooves' quick stomp, Rattle swiftly added, Not yours. With that buck what's-his-mane from Arbu. Steelhooves cocked his head slowly. Scribe Rattle. Transformation magic. Abandoned the Rangers after your daughter was disgraced. I remember now. Grandpa Rattle's expression darkened, but he nodded. You knew transformation magic? Zenith asked. Yep. Steel Rangers was trying to figure out a spell to turn Steel Ranger's armor into clothing and back. Wouldn't work, I told him.
Okay, so we're actually talking on the transformation. I talked about that in, like, Chapter 2!
Armor's already full of spells. He looked suddenly eager. I can change your rifle into a stick if you'd like.
Yeah! Yeah, we're talking about this shit!
I've got...
Oh! He's got a shotgun! Oh! Oh shit, he really did have a shotgun.
Got a shotgun. I do not have a rifle, Zenith pointed out. Oh, well then. Turning to me. How about you? Can you change it back? I asked. No. He had a stick. Looking past him, my eyes caught on those of the young buck I had pulled out of Java's cup. The young buck had been staring at me silently since laying down on one of the Sky Bandit's benches at the start of the trip. You don't have an Arbu mark? I recalled asking him, my heart almost giddy with relief. No. He had told me back into the corner of the room. Last week I was supposed to kill a mare and eat her heart, but I couldn't. I'm sorry, I know I was supposed to, and Daddy was furious. Then his expression changed in a flash of insight. You killed Daddy, didn't you? There had been such an odd look in his eyes. It wasn't blame. It was resignation. Now, for the first time since then, he spoke. What happened to Clear Glass? It took me a moment to realize he was talking about the only other pony in Arbu of similar age, the young mare Guard. The mare I hadn't intended to kill, but who I was sure now that I had choked to death without even thinking.
You could have gone to check.
I cringed, looking for words. I killed her.
Oh!
The voice wasn't mine. I turned, looking at Steelhooves in surprise. Coming up on Friendship City, Calamity called out before anything more could be said. This time, let me do the talking, Velvet Remedy said to Steelhooves. Your diplomacy leaves a lot to be desired. The ghoul nodded wordlessly. The events of the night before were weighing heavily on him. And for him, Arbu was not the heaviest burden.
Yeah.
I got up, steadying myself as I was hit with an odd dizziness. It passed, and I moved out to the window, staring out at the Pony of Friendship. A huge statue made of greened metal that stared out over the Manhattan harbor. Living inside that metal structure surrounded by water was an entire town of ponies.
Oh.
I could see lights pouring out of tiny holes where the metal had rusted through.
Ooh.
Friendship City.
Oh, is it like Rivet City?
I was thrown against one of the passenger wagon's benches as Calamity banked a hard left, dodging the shot. I can't believe Friendship City is shooting at us, I cried out. Smaller pops were followed by a massive crack of thunder below us. An explosion of black smoke and flame burst in the air a dozen yards away. The rifle ponies firing from the crown windows of the Pony of Friendship were not much of a threat, but the shells from the harbor artillery were a whole different matter.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You haven't been listening to the radio, have you? Steelhooves rumbled. Your friend DJ Pony has had some unpleasant things to say about the massacre of Arbu. What? Another shell burst in the air. Calamity veered hard.
That's already out on the news? I mean, shit, it sounds like it's only been, less than a day. Holy fuck. Homage works fast.
Harshly, throwing me again. Velvet put her shield up around the children to keep them from getting tossed. We can't land here, Calamity shouted. I've got to head back. Sounds like one of those two rangers you let go at Buckling Cross reported Arbu in the worst possible light, Steelhooves informed me bitterly. I was dying inside. Homage. Goddesses, what did Homage think of me now? Did she hate me? I have them recorded if you would like to listen to them later. I wanted to gallop to her, to order Calamity to head to Temponi Tower straight away. But I couldn't. I had already delayed for far too long. We needed to get to Canterlot, to deal with the goddess, and to turn our attention to Red Eye. Right now, thousands of...
I know I said this. This thing does it. I know the old perk thing, so this does at least somewhat work on the game rule set. Which means I'm sitting here and I'm just waiting for the time when Lil Pip hits max level and has accumulated so many weapons of mass destruction that she becomes a one-woman military. Like a one-pony Armageddon. That's what I'm waiting for. I am waiting for that moment, because that moment always arrives, and it will be so good.
The ponies who were in danger just from Red Eye's threat alone, and I was surely already testing his patience. I remembered thinking, in that one brief moment of memory that I kept for myself from the helping of Clinic and Tenpony, it was the only way to make sure Red Eye listened. I had communicated with Red Eye somehow, presumably through some pony or griffin in his encampment. I learned that I had been convincing him that I had a plan, and that I just needed time. A lot of time. More importantly, Homage needed the truth. Truth she could trust in. And I was the last pony to be able to give her that. She needed to learn of what had happened there from a source that was not as biased as I was. If she learned the truth, it couldn't be from me. Anything from me would be tainted. And if she didn't, or worse, if she did and hated me for it, it'd kill me. But like a ghoul, I'd just keep going anyway. If I lost Homage, I was losing something I didn't deserve. And if the whole wasteland turned against me, if every pony feared and hated me, it wouldn't stop me from trying to make Equestria a better place.
Oh, you ruined. You ruined it. I really hoped you were just going to say, "Bring it on," because
Even if it meant that I would forever be seen as a villain of the piece.
yeah.
Calamity flew us away from Friendship City.
Like, is that the big boss method? I've been playing too much Metal Gear. I just want the big boss method.
We waited an hour after landing in the Manhattan ruins, then worked our way towards the harbor on hoof. The rest of us stayed behind, watching from an observation platform as Velvet Remedy led the survivors out onto the Friendship Bridge. Her horn was glowing. Behind her floated Elder Cottage Cheese's life support capsule. Pirelite perched on top, enjoying the ride. Friendship Bridge was a drawbridge that had once extended all the way from Manhattan to the island. I was astounded how close to intact it still was. There were gaps, but none looked longer than 100 yards. And there were even rope bridges spanning the collapsed sections. How did they do that? I mused, staring at the extensive rope bridges through my binoculars. It seemed like an incredible feat, even for unicorn magic. Calamity tapped my shoulder, then grinned and fluttered his wings. Oh, duh. At some point, Friendship City had been the home to at least one Dashite. Through my binoculars, I could see that the ponies of Friendship City had fouled the Manhattan half of the lifting bridge, locking it flat, and had re-engineered their half so that only they could control it.
Nice.
As I watched, Velvet Remedy, Grandpa Rattle, and the children approached the far end on the Manhattan side. It had to be Velvet, and it had to be her alone. DJ Pony's warning had painted Zenith and Calamity as signs of danger, and only Velvet Remedy had the diplomatic skills to talk to the ponies of Friendship City in order to let the survivors in. Well, not exactly alone. She had Pirelite.
Yeah.
I was suddenly reminded of how much solace Pirelite had given me in Philadelphia. In the crumbling ruins behind us, Zenith was talking slowly with Steelhooves as she built a cook fire. "You are swift to condemn those who ate the meat of other ponies," she said softly.
Yeah.
"I'm a ghoul," he replied. "And I am a zebra," she responded. "And, like the medical pony, a vegetarian. And yet, you took greater offense to the survival tactics of Arbu than I did. Why is that?" "Zombies eat the flesh of ponies, because they are monsters." The zebra nodded sagely. "I see." We watched, and waited. They were far away, but I thought I could see Velvet Remedy lifting her hoof. There was, I had been told, an intercom that would allow her to speak to the guards on the island, if they were willing to listen. Steelhooves moved up next to me and sat down. "Calamity, mind if I talk to Lil Pip alone?" Calamity looked at him for a moment, then nodded and flew off to where Zenith was cooking. I looked to Steelhooves nervously. Clear glass? I asked slowly. You sent a merchant pony, an innocent, into a basement. A place where he could be easily cornered, even though you had left one of the guards alive. He responded. Us as well. It was the sort of tactical error you wouldn't have made if you were thinking clearly.
Yeah, true.
He looked at me. That is how I knew you were not.
I hit the wrong pause button. Anyways, we're at the 30-minute mark. Gotta end this here. See y'all later.